Morning. So we're on Daf Yud, top of Pesachas Tainus.
Yes.
We left off the top. Tan Rabbanan. Eretz Yisrael nivras tchila v'cholayim kulo nivra levasoch. Eretz Yisrael nivra tchila v'cholayim kulo nivra levasoch. So Eretz Yisrael was created first, and the rest of the world we just started top of Yud Amar Aleph. The rest of the world is Eretz Yisrael was created, and then the rest of the world. Shenamar, the pasuk says, "Alo asa Eretz v'chutzos." So it mentions over there that Eretz that it refers to a land, right, and the others. So what is the land? The land is Eretz Yisrael. And now the Eretz Yisrael, and Eretz Yisrael is watered by Kodesh Baruch Hu himself. And the rest of the world is through a shliach. So it's mentioned over there, aretz and chutzos, right? The other lands. So the land over here is referring to Eretz Yisrael. Hakadosh Baruch Hu waters the lands, and the rest is chutzos. And
Okay, so I have a question. In our nusach for Tfilas Geshem, we talk about Achbari, which is the angel that's responsible for Geshem.
Okay, so we just said Hakadosh Baruch Hu does Eretz Yisrael, and the Shaliach, right, and the Shaliach does the others. Aydei Shaliach.
Achbari is where the Tfilah is only for Chutz La'aretz.
So that land, it's both. It's both. It's not a steer. It's a fakeret. It's a proof. All right. Eretz Yisrael Shaisa Megeshamim. Eretz Yisrael is Shaisa Megeshamim. The Chalim Kuloi Mitametzes, right? Eretz Yisrael, they get the main rainwater, and the rest of the world gets the gets the others, gets the remaining shit. Amar Hanaisei Mata Al Panei Aretz, the Gaimer, because it brings the same pasuk. It says over there, and Eretz Yisrael, they get the rain in the land, and the other lands get water. So now as the rain comes there, and the leftover goes to the other lands. And first wide line, Eretz Yisrael Shaisa Tchila V'Chalam Kuloi Levasof. Eretz Yisrael drinks first, the rest of the world gets afterwards. Shemar Hanaisei Matar Panei Aretz, right? And they place the rain al Panei Aretz. And Mashal Adam Shemegavas is a gvina, right? So it's a mashal, right? Parable to a person who's he's making cheese. V'naitel as ha'eichel maniach as a pselas, right? He takes the good cheese and he leaves over the way. And Amar Mar. So where do we saw? We saw earlier that we mentioned that the clouds go ahead and the water. So we said the water from the ocean is the water that is rain throughout the world. So what do you mean? The salt water. So he said no, the clouds are the ones that go ahead and sweeten it. It says over there that it said that the dark of the waters is the thickness of the clouds. Chashras, right? Chashras mayim of eshchakim, right? And then it says over there chashras mayim, and then it says the sieve of water, right, with the thickness of clouds. So chashras and chashkas. So shakel kaf, the shadi areish, take the kaf and include and put it together with the reish v'karlei. Chashras, right? Or hechshras, right? Like a hechsher.
It's almost like a Greek sea.
Right. Right. So you say, so the chashras is referring to hechsher, right? Hechsher, like a preparation. Rabbi Shua. So you see over there, right, that it's preparing. In other words, that the clouds prepare the rains. How do the clouds prepare? They sweeten the water. Rabbi Yeshua, and according to Rabbi Yeshua, that was Rabbi Yezer, because Rabbi Yezer says, it's the ocean water that goes up and gets sweet. So Rabbi Yeshua, Sabani Kra, my Darshbu, what did he dash this pasuk? Sabar la kiyat aha t'chi asa Rav Dimi. So he learned like that, which Rav Dimi said. They said that they quoted that would say there. So Naro Anani Zeiri May Chayshech Ani Sagin Amohi. So it says over there that if the clouds are light, then the rains will be quick. And if the clouds are dark, then there'll be heavier rains. Fine. So Kaman Osla, Titania, who taught that what you learned in the Bryce of Maim El Yainim, B'Maimrahem Teluyim, Uperasem Megisham, right? So it says over there that the water is in the Yainim in the upper heavens, right? Is through B'Maimer, through the word of Hashem, right? And their Peros and their Peroseim. The fruits of them is the rain. Shnei says, "Mifri ma'asecha tish ba'aretz," right? So it says from the prima secha, right, from the fruits of your maisim, from the fruits of your creation, right, will the land be satiated. So come on, Rabbi Yeshua, that's like Rabbi Yeshua, because Rabbi Yeshua was the one who said that rain comes from the upper heavens. And Rabbi Eliezer, hahu, the ma'aseh yadav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's referring to the creation of the ma'aseh yadav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Fine. And Abishab Levi Kolei Kuloi Mithameses Gan Eden Hushais, right? The entire world basically gets the leftovers from Gan Eden Hushais. Shnemar, the pasuk says, "V'nar Yitzim Eden," right? And the river came out of Eden, and that was the water. The leftover of Eden is that which goes ahead and waters the world. The Tana Mitzvahs base kur Shais Hataka. Similarly, we learn that with the leftovers of a base kur, the amount of water to go ahead and water a base kur, the leftovers, the amount that comes off, is basically can go ahead and irrigate and water an area of a tarkev, which is 1/60th of a base kur. And Tanur Rabbanan, speaking of this 1/60th, that the leftover rains of 1/60th, Tanur Rabbanan, Eretz Mitzrayim, Havi Dalad Meos Parsa al Dalad Meos Parsa, was 400 parsa by 400 parsa. Who Echad Mishishim Bekush, who's 1/60th of Kush. The Kush Echad Mishishim Be'elam, and Kush is 1/60th of the world. The Elam Echad Mishishim Began, and the world is 1/60th of the Gan. The Gan. Echa Mishishim the Eden, and then the Gan, it was 1/60th of Eden. The Eden Echa Mishishim the Ganim. The Eden itself is 1/60th of the Ganim. Means Kolam Kulo Kisui Kadei LeGanim. The Ganim is the biggest, right? It turns out that the entire world is like a cover, right? Minute compared to the path of Gehenim.
That's Eden.
I thought they transferred from Genom to Gan Eden. So how can it be Genom?
So Yeshavim, let's see. Yeshavim Gehenim ain't a shir, and some say Gehenim does have a shir. Yeshavim Eden ain't a shir, and Eden does have a shir. And Amar Rabbi Yeshua Ma'adich says was mean Shechenes al Mayim Rabim Rabbas Otzos. So the pasuk over here is Zion. The pasuk in Yirmiyah. What does it mean that? Right, you live by the great water of the Mayim Rabim, and there's a lot of storehouses. Who is responsible for all the storehouses in Bavel to be full of grain? It's because it is by the great waters, I guess the great river systems over there, right? The great waters. And Amar Rav, and says Rav, Asira Bavel the Chazza below Mitra, right? The Bavel is wealthy because they go ahead and they can have their full crops without any rain. And Amar Abai Naktinon. Tavani velo Yovshani, right? That is, it is like swamps and not dried out. So that was the area of Bavel because it can be self-irrigated, I guess, from all the rivers and the irrigation there. Fine. Now in the Mishnah says over there, smack in the middle of Yud. The Gimel B'Barachesha, we've seen the Sholim, it's like a Shavim, we are Shoyel, right? One goes ahead and says, the same Talamata Livracha. Right, on the 3rd of Cheshvan is like Shavim Rav Gamliel Oimer B'Shiva on the 7th boat, which is why is Tezvav Yom Achar Echad, because that is 15 days after the holiday of Shmini Atzeres. Because those the last people leaving Eretz Yisrael who were Ol Regel, they have basically a chance. It's basically a 2-week voyage to get out to the Nahar Pras, to the Euphrates. Fine. Zok the Gemara Omar Rabbi Elazar Halacha Rav Gamliel who said the 7th, and Tanya. Chananya Omer Ubegoila, and outside of Eretz Yisrael, Ad Shishim B'Tkufa. It's 60 days after the Tkufa, right? The Tkufa is commonly known as the equinox, right? So we don't actually use. Someone told me that actually this past Shabbos the shir in the early minyan was on this topic. 60 days after the Tkufa, which is not, I mean, normally we touch as the equinox, but it's a slightly different date, right? It goes after approximately 60 days after October 7th, October 8th, right? Around there, depending on which day of the year. That's why we do December 5th, right? For the 5th, right? Right. And
because of the change of the calendar from the we use the Gregorian, they use the Julian calendar.
Okay, right. I know it's right,
when
but both of them were linked.
The Gregorian, they lost 11 days.
Uh-huh.
I think I can see.
So Amar Rav Huna, Barachia, Amar Shmuel, Halacha Chanani, that we do 60 days in Golos after the Tkufa, after the equinox, Zaini Ido by Mishmuel, Mamesai Matkirin, the Zain Talamatar. When do we go ahead and mention Saint Talamatar? Samalu, the Chimalu, Sivi Live Tavus, Rishva. From the time basically they go ahead and they bring in the wood from the outside in order that it to dry out. They don't want the wood to be outside. So that seems to be the time to bring in the wood, not 60 days afterwards. So Gemara says, no, maybe it's the same time. The same time they take in the wood from outside because it's about to be the rainy season is the same time as the 60 days after the Tkufa. And Iboilu Yom Shishim, the 60th day, Kilifnei Shishim, Kaliachar Shishim. Is it like the days before? In other words, we don't say the same Talamatar on the 60th day, or is it like the days afterwards and we start singing that day? So Tashbak, listen, Rav Omar, Rav, who lived in Eretz Yisrael, says Shishim. Right, he was in Eretz Yisrael at some point. Says Shishim Kaliachar Shishim. So the 60th day is just like afterwards, and as we mentioned it. Shmuel Omar, Yom Shishim Kilifnei Shishim. No, the 60th day is like the days before, and we don't mention it. And Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, the way to remember who says what is Eloi by Mai. Those on top, right? If you're on top, you need the rainwater because nothing flows down to it. And so Rav, who was in Eretz Yisrael, right, who was higher lands, so he was the one who says that you need the rain, i.e., you mention it. And the bottom one, the bottom one does not require the water because remember the water flows down. So therefore, Shmuel, who lived there, says that it was like the days before, and we don't mention it. And our Papa Hilchasa Yom Shishim Kaliachar Shishim. The halach is that the 60th day is like after 60 days. In other words, we do mention, or we do say, we are sure of saying Telamata Librach. Fine. Now, the Mishnah says, Higia Yedzayin Beracheshvon V'lo Yardu Gesham. The 17th comes, and there's not rain yet, V'lo Yardu Geshamim. He's Chilu HaYechidim Misanim. Gimel Taniyos. Then the Yechidim, we'll soon see who they are. They go ahead and they fast 3 Taniyos, 3 fasts. Eichlin, V'sheisim, and Cheshecha. They only fast until by the end of the day. They can go ahead, and the fast is only through the daylight time, but in the evenings they can go and eat and drink. In the dark, and they work during the day with the rechitza and with the sicha and washing and anointing, and wearing shoes, leather shoes, and tashish and relations. And he get Rosh Chodesh Kislev that was the third date. That was the third day we said earlier. If it doesn't rain by the third date, then you start the fast by the Yechidim. If it still doesn't rain, by Rosh Chodesh Kislev, Beis Din goes in Shleish Tanis Al Tzibur. Beis Din says that Tzibur must go ahead and fast. But nevertheless, these fasts are still Eichlim Sheis Mishachashecha. People can eat and drink once it gets dark. They can go ahead and do avoda, right? They do work of rechitza, v'sicha, v'nisasadim, tashmish shemita. And also, they can go ahead and wash, anoint, put on leather shoes, and have marital relations. Fine. Zok the Gemara. Man yechidim. Who are these yechidim that do the first fast? If you come to the where it's supposed to be the third, by the third rain, it still hasn't rained yet. Who are these yechidim? Some Rav Huna Rabbanan, the Rabbanan. Rav Huna yechidim misanim shlosh taniyos. They fast 3 fasts. Sheni, v'chamishi, v'sheni. They start on Monday, then do a Thursday, then a Monday. So my kamashbon, which I teach us, Tanina, we learned this already. You can't have the first fast on a Thursday because it's more Shabbos, it's day of the market day, and therefore then all the people are fasting. It's going to mess up with the market and the prices. Ella shalosh taniyos harishonos sheni v'chamishi v'sheni. Right? No, rather we say that no, even the first ones, the ones by the Yechidim, those are also Monday, Thursday, Monday. Mojiv said, maybe there's only the tzibur of Yachid. Maybe the Yachid wants only the Yechidim, the Rabbanan who are fasting. So maybe we can start that even on Thursday. Kamash Bulon, that no, they also stick to a Monday, Thursday, Monday. And Tani Nami Hachisim will learn is when they begin to go ahead and fast. They start their fast on a Monday, then they do a Thursday, then another Monday. Rosh Chodesh comes out, they stop, they don't fast on Rosh Chodesh. Uviyamim, and also the different yantivs that are mentioned in the Megillas Titus. Fine. Tani Rabbanan Al Yomer Adam Talmud Ani Eini Roi Liyos Yochi. The person should not say, "I'm only a Talmud," right? In other words, I'm not that chashuv as the Yechidim, and therefore I shouldn't be fasting. Ella Kol Tamidei Chachamim Yechidim. All Tamidei Chachamim are Yechidim, and they should fast. And Ezu Yachid, what's the Yachid? Ezu Talmud, the Talmud. What's the Talmud? Yachid Kol Sharei Limanoisa LeParnes Al Tzibur. right? A yachid is somebody who basically the community would hire to be one of their leaders. And Talmud, right? If someone who goes ahead and asks him what he's learning, asks him Dvar Halach and what he's learning, and he's able to answer, that is already considered to be a Talmud, and that is a person who's permitted to go ahead and fast with the Yechidim. Even if it's a short Masechta, like Maseches Kala. And Taner Rabbanan, the Loi Kala, right? The last was Atzma Yachid, Oisa Talmud. Loi Kala, right? The last is Atzma Yachid, Oisa, right? Not everybody who wants to make themselves a yachid and be part of that first fast can do it. Talmud Oisa, right? But a Talmud does it. Divrei Meir, that's Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Meir Oisa v'zachul atov. No, you can even go ahead and do it even if you're not, a big time of chacham. Why? It's not a shevach. It's not a big thing. It's not a person who doesn't become a balgaiva. Elatzar hulo, right? He's fasting, right? It's not like he's doing something which is pleasurable to him. He's being matzar himself, so therefore it would be permitted. And Tani, we have some advice. Not everybody wants to make himself a yachid can do it. Talmud, however, a Talmud, one who is able to answer what he's in his learning, I say he can do it. Divi Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, it's been Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Gamil, Omer, Bemed Varmurim, Bedavar Shel Shevach. That's only referring to making himself a yachid of something of Shevach, which brings honor. Bedavar Shel Tsar, but to go ahead and bring affliction such as the fasting. Right, this is not something that he's bringing good upon himself. It's not shevach, praise, but rather he's fasting. So therefore, one can go ahead and fast. It's not considered to be haughty to do that. A person who was, let's say, fasting, he was makabel himself 3 fasts or whatever it is, a certain amount of fasts, and the tzara passed, or for a refuah shleiva for somebody. And the person had a refuah, you have to go ahead, and since you're makabel the fast, you have to go ahead and finish whatever fast you're makabel upon yourself, even if it's another couple times. If one goes ahead and leaves from a place where they weren't fasting, let's say they had rain there, to a place where they were fasting, he should go ahead and fast with them. If he comes to a place where they were fasting, where they're not fasting, since he was ready to kabbalah the fast, he should continue to finish his fast. Right? He forgot and he ate and he drank. Right? He shouldn't go ahead and basically show off, like continue eating, right? And they have the different pleasures because he already ate and drank and said, "Oh, I already finished." It says, right? Because Yaakov said to his sons, "Hey, by the way, when you guys go to Egypt to go ahead and bring us food, don't basically show your hand that we have enough food for right now." So Yaakov, right? And now you don't go ahead and show that you're satiated, you're full. In other words, they shouldn't go ahead and be jealous of you. So too, if you come, you already start eating, and the other people have not eaten, you shouldn't go ahead and continue to eat. And al tirgzu b'derech, don't delay on the road. And that was also what Yaakov Avinu said. Yosef said to his brothers, I guess when they were going back, right? It's Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Lam, Yosef Lachim, Yosef to his brothers, Al Tizasku B'davar Halacha, Shema Tigzul Aleichem Aderech. Right? Perhaps don't go ahead and start dealing with matters of halacha because you're going to get all mixed up. You're going to lose the way. You're going to make a wrong turn, right? So don't start with that. Any. Two are walking, and there is no divrei Torah between them. They're fit to go ahead and burn. Shinamar, the pasuk says, when they were walking the davar, and it says when they were walking together, this is Elio, Elisha, they were walking together, and there was a chariot of fire in between them, right? It didn't say they died because it said there was a chariot in front of between them. It's a Talmud dibur. Because there was dibur, right? They were talking, learning. Oh, like a dibur, right? But if it wasn't dibur, they were fit to die. So this seems to say you should talk with Dvar Halacha, and by Yosef it seems that you shouldn't. So like kasha, the migras, one is just to go ahead, chazara, bekiyas, light, that you're not be distracted. Once you go into iyun, you have to deep thinking that you might get distracted and get lost, and that was Yosef what he was talking about. And don't take large steps. And also don't go into the city right while the sun is out. What does this mean? Out of Psia Gasa. Don't go ahead and take large steps on your travel. Right, taking large steps takes away 1/500th of a sight of a person's eyes. The what does it mean that you shouldn't go in the city with the sun out? So a person should go b'chitov, right? When the sun is out, b'chitov, and it's good. In other words, when the sun is out, that's time to travel. And don't go into the town when the sun is still out, right? In other words, keep traveling when the sun is out. It's a good time to travel when the sun is out. It's less dangerous. When it gets dark, that's when you come in. Shneimar says, right? Once the morning light came up, then the messengers were sent. And when one is traveling, you shouldn't eat more than they eat in the years of famine. My time it was 3 reasons. One says because disease when you're traveling, I guess your body is not as normal because you're all that traveling, and therefore you're gonna get sick, right? You're gonna get sick from your stomach. You're gonna have stomach pains if you eat too much. And then I say because if you eat too much, you might run out of food. So my benayu was not. Now, is the Yosef Arbe, one is sitting in a boat, one is sitting in a boat. He's not traveling, it doesn't change, but he might run out because he's limited on food. Or if he's going from one market to another market, now he'll always have food, but he's traveling, and therefore he might get sick if he's eating too much. And Rav Papa, who is a larger man, called he said, no, he used to eat a lot. It was only because of because of the stomach, not because he run out of food. And he says, I'm such a large man, it won't affect my stomach. All right, we'll stop here. Shkoyach, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful day.